Back to Black. It was kind of only by chance that I actually played on that record.
When did you guys link up with Mark Ronson?
The horn players in the Dap Kings were brought in by Mark as session players on one of his early solo records, and suitably impressed him with what they did. And then when he got the opportunity to produce the Amy Winehouse record, which like was in 2005 or 2006, he was like, oh, well, these guys, the Dap Kings, at least like Sharon Jones, the Dap Kings are like, those are the dudes who can help me achieve this sound. Because at that point, it's like in 2023, there's like a million fucking bands that can play like that, right? It's like
Yeah.
that, like what we do has like kind of become part of the lexicon with a couple of successive generations of musicians, whether it's self-taught or going through, like the Berkeley washing machine or whatever. But at that point, we were like kind of the only guys who could do it. So Mark hit us up, and it was kind of only by chance that I actually played on that record, because not by chance, but Gabe, who's the nominal bass player in the Dap Kings, was engineering. So he was like, shit, who else can do this? And he's like, well, Nick's the only other guy who can play like this. So that's how I ended up on that record. And that,
Wow.
yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't one of these things where it's like I got the call and I was like, oh my God, like it's incredible he's asking me. It's like, Gabe was like my like musical mentor. So it made like perfect sense. He called me up and he's like, dude, would you mind doing this? Like I have to engineer. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Great. And that was the first time that we all worked in a full band context with Mark. Yeah.
That's really badass. Yeah. So were you using the Gibson Ripper on that?
I was playing my Gibson Ripper on that.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's kind of the bass. Dude, I've honestly I've been a fan for so long, but I remember a lot of early videos of you playing that Ripper mostly.
Yeah.
What is it about that bass that's different from a P bass?
Different from a P bass. So that bass, I'll even take that one step further. That particular Gibson Ripper is different from every other Ripper I've ever played. Like I think I own 4 of them.
Oh,
and
wow.
and I've modded them in the same way that one showed up to me, and none of them are like even in the same ballpark as that bass. So the whole deal with that bass is, unlike a P bass, it's got 2 pickups, right? It's got 2, I guess they're humbuckers, right? They're not, I guess they're kind of jazz style pickups, but they're in like, it's like a Gibson looking thing. And on the face of it, you're like, okay, it's got 3 knobs and it's got a selector. But no, Gibson completely fucked them up out of the factory, at least in my perspective, where the bass is shipped from the factory with I'm not sure if you've ever seen the rotary knobs,
Yeah.
right? So those basses wired from the factory, you can't just get the neck pickup by itself, and you can't just get the bridge pickup by itself. It's all series. It's like in parallel, out of phase, in phase. It's all this like fancy stuff where they're trying to get all these like hi-fi sounds, and the knobs actually aren't, you don't think they don't do what you think they do. Like one of them's a volume, one of them's like a mid cut, and one of them's like a bass boost. It's like, it's a stupid,
Interesting.
right, stupid ass layout, at least for the kind of music. At least in my
Yeah.
opinion, works for some people, worked for Rick Danko, so it's like, it's
Yeah.
not terrible. But the one that I got, unbeknownst to me, at some point in the deep dark history, someone had like torn it apart and just rewired it with a 3-way switch. So it was just like neck, middle, bridge. So it was wired in a normal fashion. And yeah, I just, I got the bass and it was just like, oh, neck position. I was like, this sounds amazing.
What kind of amp were you using on that session, or were you going DI?
No, I think at that time in Daptone, there was one of those 70s Fender Bassmans, which are 4x10 combos, right?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
10-inch speakers, not a very powerful amp, maybe a 50 or a 70 watt. It's like, I think
Blackface?
Silverface. I mean, they were like
Oh,
shitty amps, or at
yeah.
least not shitty amps, but not like a desirable. It wasn't like like a blonde 60s bassman, like super cool vibey, 60s amp. That with a DI, I think Gabe was using RE20s. So it was just like a mix of a DI signal and that bass through that bass amp. So nothing fancy, just like a bass that sounds cool and an amp that sounds cool, like
Hey,
mic'd
it's all in
musically.
the hands.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, I got to give respect where respect is due. I mean, Gabe Roth is like, he's the fucking man. He's like, he's like one of the dudes. He's such a good musical engineer, and so yeah, the bass sounds good. And I was like, at that point, I mean, like, I wasn't like that good at that point. It's like I could like play songs and I could play arrangements, and I was playing with dudes that I played with for a long time, so we could sound like a band and we had the right influences. But in terms of like my like sophistication as a player, like, it wasn't that high. But we did what we were supposed to do in the context of the song, and it was like captured well and then mixed well.
Yeah. Were
Yeah,
you using rounds or flats back then?
that bass came to me with the gnarliest rusted out rounds.
Really interesting.
Yeah, and I left them on there because they sounded so good.
I would
um
not have guessed rounds.
no, both of my early Gibsons, they came with rounds when I got them, and I was just like, I mean, I didn't really know, and I was just like, this is cool. And I played both of those basses with those strings on them. Actually, I think about my SG bass, the same round rounds are still on there, and
Wow.
they still sound okay. The Ripper had round wounds on it, really disgusting. I mean, literally like rotting round wound strings that eventually got so bad with the intonation that I could only intonate the bass about a 5 fret thing. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
by my standards, was like so out of tune that it was just like, oh, I can't even play this. And that was one of the reasons why I eventually retired it, along with like, it needed new frets and I had moved on to other stuff. But yeah, really, really disgusting old round wounds of unknown provenance. I have no idea what they were.